Match day 4 of the UEFA Champions League has concluded. We're going to look at all the groups, the standing, and I'm going to give my outlook for the rest of the group stage. Group A, Bayern on top, 12 points. They've qualified for the Champions League knockout phase. We have Copenhagen, who's in second after a shock victory against Man United that ended 4-3 today. And Galatasaray is in third, also on 4 points. Manchester United has 3, and they're in last place. So going into the next couple of games, you have Galatasaray facing Manchester United in Turkey, and you have Bayern hosting Copenhagen, and then Man United and Bayern have to face off at Old Trafford, and on top of that, Copenhagen, Galatasaray have to face off in Denmark. So with this group, honestly, it's Man United's backs are against the wall. If they don't qualify here, things could get really muddy for Erik ten Hag. And Galatasaray away is a very difficult fixture. The Turkish supporters are very passionate, and quite frankly, I don't see Manchester United getting all 3 points there. And they need all 3 points, because if Galatasaray, say, gets to 5 points, and say Copenhagen also can maybe say they get a draw, then no matter what happens, Manchester United is at a disadvantage going into that last weekend of fixtures, or week of fixtures, I should say. But I think Manchester United, I think they're not going to qualify for the knockout phase. Will they not qualify for, say, Europa League? I don't know. I think that they're done with the Champions League this season, though, if I were to hedge my bets, because that's a big loss against Copenhagen. The fashion in which it was done and everything, it's just not going to be easy to recover from that. Moving into Group B, Arsenal sits in first on 9 points. You have PSV and Lens behind on 5 points. And then you have Sevilla last place, 2 points. Poor Sevilla. 2 draws in the first couple of match weeks, and now 2 losses. Can they get 2 wins in a row? I don't know. They sold a lot of their players, so as it stands, they're not in the best shape to necessarily compete in the Champions League. They had some financial kind of hardships across the transfer window and across the summer, so kind of a tough spot for Sevilla. I've always kind of thought of them as a team that can make a push in the Champions League, but you usually will end up in the Europa League. But as this stands, the fate of their future is in their hands. They have to win their next 2 games and they're through. But they have to still travel to Lens in France, and in the final match day, depending on how the fixture against Arsenal, if Lens gets a draw or something, things could kind of start to turn for Lens, and maybe they're more motivated into that in that last match day against Sevilla. But I think Arsenal will top the group. I could see PSV coming in third. No, I see PSV coming in second, and then third will either be Lens or Sevilla. And for Group A, I forgot to mention this, but probably going to be Bayern in first. I'll say Galatasaray in second, Copenhagen. Say Copenhagen last, and United Europa League. I'm hoping this is like a reverse jinx, so we'll see. Group C, we have Real Madrid, who has qualified. They've gotten all 12 points from their first 4 fixtures in the Champions League this season. 9 goals, 4-3 against. They're just ridiculous. Napoli's in second on 7 points. Braga in third on 3. And Union Berlin last place with 1 point. The remaining fixtures are Real Madrid, Napoli, and then Braga, Union Berlin for match day 5. And for match day 6, it's Napoli, Braga, and Union Berlin, Real Madrid. So, I think ultimately very easy group here to predict. It's just going to be exactly the way it is. Group C will remain the same. And I think we'll see, Real Madrid will be basically, they are comfortably away, but they're going to be even further away. Napoli will be in a comfortable second, and Braga will go to the Europa League. Union Berlin, I don't see them qualifying. Group D, Real Sociedad and Inter qualified, and Salzburg and Benfica effectively, are going to fight it out for Europa League, with Salzburg sitting on 3 points and Benfica sitting on 0. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Benfica had a really rough Champions League campaign. It'd be hopeful, I'd say, for them to qualify, because the final fixtures for this match week, or these last couple of match days, are Benfica versus Inter, and then Real Sociedad versus Salzburg for match day 5. And for match day 6, you have Inter, Real Sociedad, and Salzburg versus Benfica. So Benfica has to try to get, points against Inter, who look the far better side. And then they have to travel away to Austria to face Salzburg. They could do it, but they haven't shown any indication in the Champions League that they will. So I think that this is exactly how this group will look come the end of the match days. Group E, we have Atletico Madrid on 8 points, Lazio on 7, Feyenoord on 6, and Celtic on 1. Just 1 point for Celtic. They got beat 6-0 by Atletico Madrid this week. Griezmann had a brace. Saul scored. And then Lazio beat Feyenoord 1-0. The remaining fixtures are Lazio versus Celtic, Feyenoord versus Atletico Madrid for match day 5. And for match day 6, you have Atletico versus Lazio and Celtic versus Feyenoord. For me, I think it's going to look exactly like this. Feyenoord, they don't really get to face Lazio again. They have to face Celtic, which is an easy win, but say Lazio wins their next game. I mean, it could happen potentially. I doubt Feyenoord beats Atletico Madrid, but they'd have to draw or something and then hope for Atletico Madrid to beat Lazio in the last week and for them to beat Celtic by more goals or something. I don't know. It would be tough, but I think Lazio will get second place, Feyenoord going to Europa League, and Celtic not qualifying. Group F, Dortmund on 7 points, Paris Saint-Germain on 6 points, Milan on 5 points, and Newcastle on 4 points. Kind of a crazy week for this group. Some good results for both Dortmund and Milan. 2-0 for Dortmund against Newcastle, and Milan won 2-1 against PSG. So PSG has to host Newcastle still. Milan has to host Dortmund in match day 5. And for match day 6, Dortmund is hosting PSG and Newcastle is hosting AC Milan. So how do I see this playing out? I think PSG will beat Newcastle in match day 5, which would mean that effectively you would see PSG go to 9 points. Let's say a draw in Milan. Dortmund on 8, PSG on 9, Milan on 6. And then Newcastle versus Milan, Dortmund versus PSG. Dortmund versus PSG, say Dortmund win. I mean, honestly, it's a tough call. This is probably the hardest group to call, period. But I'm going to say PSG top it, Dortmund in second, Milan in third, Newcastle last. Bold claims, I know, but let's just go with that. Group G, we have Man City and Leipzig qualifying. And then you have Cervena Zvezda and Young Boys both on 1 point each. Honestly, match day 5, we see Young Boys face Cervena Zvezda. Whoever wins that or gets more points out of that is probably going to win, because I don't see either of them getting points against either of Leipzig or Man City going into the final match days. Yeah, so doubt that's going to happen. And the final group is Group H. Barcelona sits on top of the group with 9 points. Porto is also on 9 points with 6 goal difference as well. So very equal for them. Either one of those two teams could top the group potentially. Shakhtar Donetsk on 6 points in 4th place, and Antwerp has 0. So tough look for Antwerp. The only other side to not get any points is Benfica. So they are probably in mutual suffering, I would imagine, as of right now. Match day 5, though, we'll see Shakhtar Donetsk face Antwerp and Barcelona face Porto. So Barca v Porto, that's going to be a big clash to see effectively who will come out on top for top of the group. Shakhtar Donetsk isn't far behind either side, though, and they host Antwerp. You would expect that they could potentially get the win there. What did the reverse fixture for that look like? Let's see. Yeah, it was a 3-2 in Belgium. So, I mean, they are at home, so hopefully for Shakhtar Donetsk's sake, they win that game. But, as it stands, I mean, Barca lost to Shakhtar Donetsk today in Ukraine or wherever they are playing now. I don't know if they still are playing in Ukraine. But that group, I'm going to guess it ends. Ends Barca on top, Porto in second, Shakhtar in third, and Antwerp last. Exactly the same way as it is right now. So those are my predictions. Give me your comments down below as to what you thought of this match day, how you thought these fixtures played out, how you think the remaining fixtures will play out, and what your thoughts are of the Champions League so far this season. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for making it this far if you did. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.